Hey folks, I'm back. One more week for you here. Your Canuck from Canuckistanreacts is back. And I'm not sure if I'm going to continue doing full-on reaction videos or if this is going to end up being a channel where I kind of react to what's going on this week. For this week, that's what it is. So let's get the ball rolling here. What's going on this week? Well, hopefully, first of all, hopefully the sound is good because just like I did over on my Canadian Info Warrior channel, which, you know, you could go over and check out that channel too, Canadian Info Warrior on YouTube. And what I did over there that I'm getting to here in my rambling, meandering kind of way is this week I kind of rediscovered a microphone that I haven't used in a couple of years, and yeah, there it is. It's a lapel mic. So I'm hoping that the sound is good enough for this video. It seemed pretty decent on the video that I shot yesterday. Today is Friday the 26th of July as I'm shooting this. And, you know, just a quick side note here for anybody who's thinking about starting out in YouTube, you really don't need a lot. Everybody thinks that you got to have the latest iPhone, and you've got to have, if you're going to shoot indoors, you got to have the big camcorder and stuff like that, and you really don't need a lot. I'm shooting this on a Logitech 1080p webcam, believe it or not, and it's pretty good quality from what I've been seeing. And you know, I'm using a $30 lapel mic. So I mean, I do have the latest iPhone, and I do have a lot of other equipment. I've got tripods, I've got a Canon Rebel digital camera, SLR camera, DSLR obviously. I've got a couple of Canon handheld camcorders. I've got a couple of action cameras. What's the really popular one? Everybody, it seems like everybody on YouTube uses it, and I'm just drawing a total blank on the name right now, but it's just one of those little square action cameras. Mine are a knockoff of that. They're not the expensive action cameras. But you know, with all of that equipment, I've got a gimbal, I've got small tripods, I've got the clamp that goes around the iPhone to hold it on a tripod or hold it on a selfie stick or whatever. And with all that equipment, I actually don't use a lot of it very often. I mean, the camcorders I almost never use now. If I'm filming outdoors, I use my iPhone. And especially if I'm filming in the truck, I've got a great mount for the iPhone that clamps onto the dash right in front of me, so I can have the phone turned sideways so it's full landscape, 1080p. Of course, the phone records higher than that, but I don't bother with it. I'm not going to record 4K for YouTube. But yeah, you know, like I don't use all that other equipment very often, so you don't really need it if you're trying to start out here in YouTube, is what I'm getting at. You can go with a decent, I think I paid about $130 for this webcam, and I know I only paid about $30 for this lapel mic, and it's USB. And then you get free software like OBS Studio. See, nobody tells you this, right? I searched for a long time, and I even emailed other content creators trying to find out what they use so that I can get a good look myself. Nobody ever replied to me in any of the emails, and you never find any of them talking about it. And I'm not sure why that is. But, so I'm telling you a little bit of it from my perspective. You know, $120 webcam, shoots 1080p video, and a $30 lapel mic. This is the Blue Yeti, and this was, at the time when I bought it, I believe it was about $259. Now they've come down to about $159. You can find them for on Amazon, and it's a great mic. In fact, as I was saying over on my other channel, the quality on the Blue Yeti is probably better than the quality I'm getting on this lapel mic. But the problem is the Blue Yeti hides half my face, because it's one of those mics that you do have to be right up close to it, and it's a big sucker. So it does. It blots out half my face. So I decided I'd give this lapel mic a try again, and see if I can get good enough sound out of it for these videos. So there you go. That's all you really need to get started. And I was starting to say OBS Studio is really good free software for doing this sort of thing. And as for editing software, there's several out there that you can use. Obviously, if you're on Mac, you're probably going to be looking at Final Cut Pro. On Windows, there's 3 or 4 that you can use, 3 or 4 different studios. There's, of course, Adobe, you know, things like that. But they get expensive. And I found one called, what was it? What is it? It's on this computer. Hang on, give me a second here. I'll find it for you. Pinnacle Studio. And Pinnacle Studio is made by the same people who've been making Corel Draw for decades now. I mean, when I first started getting into what we used to call IBM compatible computers, which is our standard PCs, standard Windows PCs nowadays, when I first started getting into those, even before the Windows days, but you know, then you get into Windows 1 and 2 weren't all that great, but Windows 3.11 for workgroups was a really good operating system. And in those days, Corel Draw came out on 12 floppy disks, and it had a CD full of graphics that you could import. And you know, I mean, we're talking back in the 286 days, IBM 286 processors. And so these people at Corel have been making the software for a long time. They know what they're doing now. And this video editing suite that they have out now is called Pinnacle Studio. It's up to somewhere around version 25 now, I think, or 26. I've got version 20. And it's great. You know, it does everything I need it to do. I want to say the production quality isn't very high, but I think it can be. I think it's my limited knowledge of the production that makes the quality lower. I don't know everything that I should be doing with it. I don't know everything that the program can do. So I'm sure my limited knowledge is more to blame for the low quality than the software itself. But that software only cost me, I think it was about $120 after taxes. And I've got a free download of it. I've got a digital copy. I do have a hard copy. I actually ordered the CD with it. I think that was an extra $5 or something like that. And so I usually do, if I'm reinstalling Windows and I have to reinstall Pinnacle, then I install it from the disk and then download all the updates that are necessary for it. But I could simply download a digital copy of it from the Corel website if I wanted to, because I have paid for that. But, you know, for $120, it's been great software. So you got maybe $120 webcam, a $30 lapel mic, and $120 for video editing software. So what's that? $270, you know, and you're ready to rock and roll. You're ready to record videos and upload to YouTube. So it really doesn't have to be all that expensive, is what I'm saying. And I don't know why I got off on that tangent, because that wasn't at all what I was planning on talking about today. But here we are, right? So there's getting off of that now. There's a lot of news coming out. There's a few things that happened this week. I mean, there's a lot new news coming out about the Trump assassination attempt. The director of the Secret Service has resigned because she is taking full responsibility for the failure that allowed a shooter to get that close to former President Trump to begin with. And so yeah, there's a lot of news coming out about that. But I don't really want to go into too much detail about that. I'm sure if you've been watching any of the major news networks or watching on YouTube, I'm sure by now you're well aware of everything, all the information that's come out about the shooting. So I found one funny video this week, though. I can't find it anywhere. I can't find the raw video anywhere. Let me move my chair a bit here, center myself a little better. Yeah, I can't find the raw video anywhere. All I can find is other people's reaction videos to it, and I don't really want to react to a reaction video. But what I'm talking about is the Rolling Stones concert. Mick Jagger mentions how much they love Mr. Trudeau, and damn near gets booed off the stage. And then he had to change the subject. I can't remember what he went to after that, but he had to change the subject to get the crowd back. So that was funny. But like I said, I can't find the raw video anywhere, and I don't want to do a reaction to a reaction. Some weeks, that's what this is going to be. It's just going to be me here talking about current events. And maybe no video to react to. But I am still reacting to the news. So I had a thought that occurred to me. They don't happen very often, believe me. No, I was watching YouTube, and in the middle of the video I was watching, an ad comes up, right? And it's an ad for the upcoming UFC fight. And I thought I'd take a little while to talk about that on here, because I've never understood the mentality of people who enjoy watching other people beat the shit out of each other. There, I've said it. I was never into wrestling as a kid. Sure, I watched some of it, but mostly the reason why I watched it was because my dad was into it. So it was on TV, and, you know, there was... I mean, we're talking back in the mid to late 70s and through the 80s. You know, back then, households didn't have a TV in every room like we do now. We had usually one TV in the living room, and maybe, if you were really lucky, one person might have a smaller TV in the bedroom. And that one was usually black and white, not color. The one in the living room was the color TV that everybody usually watched. And so if I wanted to watch TV, I was in the living room. And if my dad was watching wrestling, then wrestling is what it was. And I don't know, I liked some of the guys, like Hulk Hogan was pretty cool, Jesse Ventura, Jesse the Body, Macho Man Randy Savage. I always got a kick out of Mean Gene Okerlund's interviews. But aside from that, I wasn't really into watching wrestling. I wasn't into watching people beat the shit out of each other. And I was never really into watching boxing all that much. I remember a few key fights like Foreman and Ali and Zaire. I remember seeing Iron Mike Tyson grow up and come into his own as a world heavyweight champion. But again, if that was what my dad was watching, then that was what I was watching. So it wasn't really out of choice for me. It was because that's what Dad was watching. And don't get me wrong, I mean, Dad got me into a lot of great shows too. I used to sit there and watch The Dukes of Hazzard with my dad, and Greatest American Hero, and The Fall Guy, and WKRP in Cincinnati, and Happy Days, Welcome Back Kotter, Cheers, even things like not so much Falcon Crest, though we did watch a little bit of that, but mostly the nighttime drama that I liked was Dallas. And, my dad got me into all of those shows, of course, because he was into them. So that's what we were watching. And those ones I actually liked. But the whole fighting thing, I never really got into. And I've never really understood it. But I understand why it's pushed. I don't understand why people make it popular, but I do understand why it's pushed by the industry, because it's a distraction. It's like the Roman gladiators. It's a way to keep us distracted from what's really going on, instead of focusing on what's really going on in the world. And so I do understand that. I just don't understand why so many people fall for it so easily. I guess they say ignorance is bliss, maybe people don't want to know what's going on in the world. Because if they don't know what's going on, then it's not going on. It's the ostrich with its head in the sand. So that's how I feel about that. It was just something that occurred to me because I saw the ad on TV for a UFC fight, and I just thought, why do people get so into this shit? I just don't get it, Stop allowing the entertainment industry, which is quite obviously backed by the same people that puppeteer our governments. Stop allowing that industry to distract you from what's really going on in the world. We're on the brink of World War III here. Some would say we're already in World War III. World War III may not necessarily be fighting on the ground. Maybe it's all this shit that we're dealing with high rental rates and high mortgage rates and extreme housing prices and extreme grocery costs and extreme travel costs due to the price of gas and diesel. Some would say that that's warfare in itself, that's World War III, because it's happening everywhere, right? So some would say we're already in World War III. I say that of the four horsemen, war has been among us for a good 50, 60 years now. Pestilence is among us. He just hasn't spread his arm over North America yet. Famine is among us. Again, he hasn't spread his arm over North America yet. And death is waiting in the wings. I looked, and lo, I beheld a rider on a pale horse, and his name that sat upon him, no, that's wrong. I looked and beheld a pale horse, and his name that sat upon him was Death, and hell followed with him. Some would say we're in that stage. Some would say we're not, and we're on the brink of it. It would be nice to see some of you people commenting. I said it over on my other channel that commenting is really what helps the videos gain traction. Liking is great. Subscribing is great. If I got a massive wave of subscribers and likes, then yes, that's going to promote the video. It's going to help it gain traction. But aside from that, what really helps it gain traction is commenting. Because commenting keeps the video active and active and active. Every time you comment, every time you reply, that video gets bumped up in the algorithm. So I'd like to see a lot more of you commenting down below in the comments section on my videos. I would also like it if you could share my videos. Share them on Facebook, share them on X, share them on Instagram, whatever. Share them on TikTok, I don't care. Sharing does two things. It helps bring traffic to my channel, but it also tells YouTube, hey, people like this enough that they're sharing it with other people and trying to bring those people here. And then when YouTube is told that, YouTube has a tendency to boost the video a little bit so that it gets seen by more people. And that's what I need. That's what I need you all to do. I need conversations going on in the comments section. I have a friend named Gary who has commented on every video I've posted so far, and I really appreciate him for that. Thank you so much, Gary. But it's just one comment. Sometimes I'll reply to it and he'll reply to that. But then it just peters out, right? It's just the two of us. What's the point? And we see each other at work, so we wind up talking to each other then. I need more people commenting. I need more people replying. I need activity. So that's my call for you this week. And every week going forward, I'm going to have to plug it. That's just the way YouTube works. And hopefully some of you will start to eventually start chipping in. And then maybe my videos will get some traction, and who knows, they might be seen by more people. And if it keeps going, 5 years from now, I might see $1 or $2 from this channel. Help me out. Man's got to retire on something. All right. that's about it for this week. Yeah, and yes, if you notice, I do have a hard time keeping my eyes on the camera rather than on my screen, but I think we all do that. So that's it for this week. I hope you made it all the way to the end of this video. If you did, say hi to my buddy Christ. And I'll see you next week. God's willing and Daffy Duck willing. Ciao for now.